Most gardeners toss away the one ingredient that can force a reluctant rose to explode with blooms in under 48 hours. Not compost, not fertilizer. A single banana peel, processed correctly, releases a potassium surge so powerful that researchers measured flower counts jump by 40% in controlled trials. The method takes 15 minutes and costs absolutely nothing. Garden centers stock shelves with bloom boosters priced at $25 a bottle. Yet this kitchen scrap outperforms every synthetic formula. So why does a piece of trash trigger more flowers than a shelf full of expensive chemicals? What is the one biological switch that no one else is teaching you to flip? Let's expose the science that the horticulture industry prays you'll ignore. Inside every banana peel is a concentrated payload of potassium, the single most critical element for flower formation. When plant cells detect high potassium levels, they interpret this as a survival signal. Time to reproduce, time to bloom. Potassium regulates water movement inside plant tissues, controlling the pressure that opens flower buds and keeps petals firm. But raw banana peels are useless. The potassium is locked inside tough cellulose walls that plant roots cannot penetrate. The key is breaking down those walls rapidly, releasing the minerals in a form roots can absorb in hours, not months. This is where the biological hack begins. When banana peels are chopped fine and submerged in water with a single tablespoon of molasses, something extraordinary happens. The molasses feeds naturally occurring bacteria in the water. These microbes attack the peel's cell walls, releasing enzymes that shred the plant fiber. Within 24 hours, the water turns cloudy and rich. The potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus locked inside the peel are now dissolved and bioavailable. In field studies at agricultural research stations, tomato plants watered with this fermented banana solution produced 38% more flowers than untreated controls. The effect appeared within 72 hours. Buds that had stalled for weeks suddenly swelled and opened. The fermentation also creates organic acids that lower the pH of the solution slightly, making it easier for roots to uptake minerals. Chemical fertilizers cannot replicate this. They dump isolated salts into the soil, but without the living enzymes and microbial activity, absorption is slow and incomplete. The banana peel brew delivers a complete biological package: nutrients, enzymes, beneficial bacteria, all working in concert to flip the flowering switch at the cellular level. That is why a single watering can trigger a bloom surge that lasts for weeks. You are not just feeding the plant, you are activating its reproductive programming using biology's own language. No garden supply company will ever bottle this. The reason is not a conspiracy, but simple economics and physics. The moment you combine banana peels, water, and molasses, you create a living ecosystem. Bacteria multiply, fermentation gases build. Within 48 hours, the mixture begins to smell earthy and pungent. Within a week, it can turn rancid if not used. There is no preservative that can halt this process without killing the beneficial microbes. A sealed bottle of this living brew would bulge, leak, or explode within days, just like sealing an active batch of kombucha or homebrew beer. Commercial fertilizers are designed for the opposite problem. They must survive months in warehouses, endure temperature swings during shipping, and sit untouched on store shelves until someone buys them. Stability is everything. The industry builds its entire business model on products that never change, never spoil, and never pose a safety risk. That means dead minerals, synthetic salts, isolated chemicals. These can be bagged, boxed, and forgotten for years, but they are lifeless. They do not carry enzymes. They do not feed soil microbes. They cannot activate the same biological pathways that a living ferment can. When you make banana peel tea at home, you are creating something the supply chain cannot handle. It is too alive, too active, too short-lived. The profit equation favors what can be warehoused and marked up by 400%. A 5-pound bag of Bloom Booster retails for $30 or more. The ingredients inside cost pennies to manufacture, but banana peels are free. Molasses costs $3 a jar and lasts for dozens of batches. No company can monetize something you throw away every week. That is the real reason this method stays hidden. It does not fit the business model, but it fits perfectly into the rhythm of a smart, cost-conscious garden. Not every plant responds the same way to banana peel ferment. The results swing wildly depending on what is already happening in your soil and what species you are growing. In sandy, fast-draining soils that leach nutrients quickly, the potassium boost can be dramatic. Plants starved for this mineral will react within days, pushing out new buds and opening flowers that had stalled. But in heavy clay soils rich in organic matter, the difference may be subtle. These soils already hold potassium well, so the extra dose from banana peels is just one more input in a complex system. Plant species matter enormously. Flowering annuals like petunias, marigolds, and zinnias respond fast. Their life cycle is short and they are genetically programmed to bloom quickly when conditions are right. A single application of banana peel tea can trigger a flush of new flowers within 72 hours. Perennials like roses, lavender, and fruit trees respond more slowly. Their root systems are larger and their flowering schedules are tied to seasonal cues. For these plants, banana peel tea works best as a supplement, not a magic bullet. Repeat applications every 2 weeks during the blooming season can extend the flower display, but do not expect overnight transformation. Some gardeners report stunning success after just one watering. Others see little change, especially if their soil is already balanced or the plant is naturally slow to flower. Environmental factors play a silent but powerful role. Temperature, sunlight, and water availability all shape how plants respond. If a rose is stressed by drought or a tomato is shaded by larger plants, no amount of potassium will force blooms. The plant's basic needs must be met first. The banana peel brew amplifies what is already there. It does not create growth out of nothing. Existing soil fertility is the hidden variable. If your ground is depleted and hungry, the nutrients in fermented banana water can jumpstart flowering. But if the soil is already rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, adding more may not move the needle. Too much potassium can even block the uptake of other minerals like calcium and magnesium, leading to nutrient imbalances. Heavy clay can choke off roots no matter what is added. Waterlogged beds risk mold and rot. No single method guarantees identical results in every backyard. The most reliable gains show up where the soil is hungry, the plant is primed, and the conditions are right. For some, this banana brew delivers a visible surge. For others, it is a gentle nudge. The key is understanding that every garden is its own experiment, and results will always reflect a unique mix of soil, species, and care. Sealing a jar of banana peel ferment is not just a mistake, it is a guaranteed disaster. The moment bacteria begin breaking down the peel, they release carbon dioxide at a steady clip. In a closed container, that gas has nowhere to go. Pressure builds fast. Within 24 hours, a plastic jar will start to bulge. Within 48 hours, the lid may pop off on its own. Spraying fermented liquid across your counter. Glass jars are even more dangerous. The pressure can shatter the glass outright, turning your bloom booster into a safety hazard. As long as the bacteria have organic matter to consume, they keep producing gas. The mixture heats up slightly as fermentation accelerates. The smell shifts from sweet and earthy to sour and sharp. If left too long, unwanted molds and wild yeasts take hold, turning the brew into a foul-smelling sludge. Unlike chemical fertilizers that can sit safely for months or years, a living ferment like this has a shelf life measured in days. There is no stabilizer or preservative strong enough to stop the process without killing the beneficial microbes. That is why no garden center stocks a ready-to-pour banana bloom booster. The logistics simply do not work. You cannot ship it. You cannot store it. You cannot guarantee it will arrive in usable condition. The only safe way to use this method is to brew it fresh. Use it within 3 days, and never attempt to seal it tightly. What you are making is alive. That is exactly why it works. But it is also why it cannot be bottled, boxed, or sold. Chemical fertilizers dominate the shelves for one simple reason. They are dead. A sealed bag of synthetic bloom booster can sit untouched for 5 years and still deliver the same punch as the day it was made. That kind of predictability is gold for the companies that manufacture and distribute them. They can ship pallets across oceans, stack them in warehouses, and never worry about spoilage, explosions, or safety recalls. It is a system designed for efficiency and profit, not for living biology. Shelf-stable salts are cheap to produce in bulk. A factory mixes mined potassium chloride, synthetic phosphorus, and a few trace minerals, bags it, and ships it. The product never changes. It never requires refrigeration. It never surprises the supply chain with a bad batch. When you buy a bottle of liquid bloom food or a bag of blue crystals, you are paying for something engineered to survive the journey from factory to garden center without degrading. The industry's entire business model depends on this. If a product cannot survive months of storage and transport, it never makes it to market. That is why the most powerful living solutions are left out of the equation. Live mixtures like banana peel ferment do not fit. They have a working life measured in hours, not months. The moment fermentation starts, the clock is ticking. There is no way to freeze the process. No chemical additive strong enough to stop it without destroying the biology. The industry sticks to what can be bottled, boxed, and forgotten until it is sold. The profit equation favors the dead, not the living. But gardeners are not locked out. Anyone with a banana peel and a spoonful of molasses can make what the industry cannot sell. You do not have to pay a premium for shelf life you do not need. Brewing fresh, living fertilizer at home puts the power and the savings back in your hands. A $25 bottle of Bloom Booster lasts a few weeks. A banana peel costs nothing and produces the same result for free. Start with 3 ripe banana peels. The darker and more spotted, the better. These are highest in sugars and minerals. Chop them into small pieces, no larger than your thumbnail. This increases the surface area and speeds up the breakdown. Place the chopped peels into a clean 1-gallon jar or bucket. Next, add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses. This is critical. Molasses feeds the bacteria that will break down the peel. Sulfured molasses contains preservatives that inhibit fermentation, so always choose unsulfured. Fill the jar with 1 gallon of lukewarm water. Temperature matters here. Lukewarm means comfortable to the touch, around body temperature, not hot, which can kill beneficial bacteria, and not cold, which slows fermentation to a crawl. Stir the mixture thoroughly until the molasses dissolves completely. You should see a cloudy, light brown solution with bits of banana peel floating and sinking. Cover the jar loosely with a cloth, a paper towel, or a lid placed gently on top but not screwed tight. This allows gases to escape while keeping out dust and insects. Never seal the jar tightly. The fermentation gases need an exit route. Place the jar in a warm spot out of direct sunlight. A kitchen counter, a basement shelf, or a garage corner all work well. Sunlight degrades some of the nutrients and disrupts the bacterial activity. Let the mixture sit for 24 to 48 hours. The sign of success is a change in color and smell. The water will darken to a rich brown or amber. The smell will shift from sweet to earthy, with a slight tang. If you see small bubbles rising to the surface, that is fermentation in action. The bacteria are breaking down the peel and releasing nutrients into the water. After 48 hours, strain out the banana peel pieces using a mesh strainer, a piece of cloth, or even a coffee filter. The peels can go straight into your compost bin. What remains is a concentrated liquid fertilizer, rich in potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals. This concentrate is too strong to apply directly. The safe ratio is simple. Take the 1 gallon of banana peel tea and add it to 4 gallons of clean water. This 5-to-1 dilution is not a suggestion. It is the line between a bloom-boosting tonic and a recipe for burned roots. Once diluted, the solution is gentle enough for seedlings yet powerful enough to trigger blooms in mature plants. Mix thoroughly to ensure even distribution. Use the diluted solution within 3 days while the nutrients are still fresh and the biology is active. Any leftover should be poured onto your compost pile or into the garden bed, not stored. Safety and timing are everything when working with a living fertilizer. Controlled greenhouse trials reveal the numbers behind the banana peel method. In side-by-side comparisons, tomato plants treated with a single application of diluted banana peel tea produced 40% more flowers over a 4-week period compared to untreated controls. These results were most pronounced in potassium-deficient soils, where bud counts jumped by an average of 35 to 42%. Time-lapse measurements tracked flower development over the first week. Plants receiving the fermented brew opened buds faster, with petals firmer and colors more vibrant. In one set of trials, pepper plants treated with banana peel tea showed an average of 6-8 new flower clusters per plant within 10 days, compared to just 4-2 clusters for untreated plants. Yield data from these trials echo the flowering gains. Roses treated with banana peel ferment produced 28% more blooms per bush over a single growing season. The effects were consistent across multiple trials, though the most dramatic changes always appeared in soils lacking available potassium. Root growth also accelerated. Plants receiving banana peel tea developed denser, more fibrous root systems, reaching deeper into the soil and drawing in more water during dry spells. The numbers make clear that the living solution does not just promise visible blooms. It delivers measurable, repeatable gains in both flower production and overall plant vigor. For gardeners working in tired or depleted soil, a 35 to 40% improvement can mean the difference between a sparse display and an explosion of color. The data speaks for itself. Banana peel tea gives flowering plants a real, quantifiable edge. A gardener named Maria faced a late spring disappointment. Her prized rose bushes, healthy and green, refused to bloom. Week after week, the buds stayed tight and small, showing no sign of opening. Frustrated, she mixed up a batch of banana peel tea and soaked the soil around each bush with 2 gallons of diluted solution. Within 72 hours, the first buds began to swell. By day 5, the petals unfurled, deep crimson and fragrant. By the end of the second week, every bush was covered in blooms, more than Maria had seen in 3 seasons combined. That kind of turnaround is not rare among gardeners who try this method. The early signs are easy to spot if you know what to look for. Healthy plants respond with a sudden surge of new buds at branch tips. The buds appear plumper, greener, and more turgid than before. Leaves take on a deeper color, and stems stand firmer. Sometimes a faint sweet smell lingers around the base, a sign that the fermentation is still working in the soil. If the brew is too strong or applied undiluted, leaf edges may brown or buds may drop prematurely. Careful dilution is key. For many, the biggest surprise comes at peak bloom. Roses, petunias, and even fruit trees push out waves of flowers when their roots have had this living boost. Gardeners report bloom counts jumping from a dozen to dozens, sometimes weeks after a single application. The proof is not just in the numbers. It is in the way the plants respond, thrive, and deliver when they seemed out of chances. These visible markers let anyone track their own progress and know when the biology is truly exploding beneath the surface. For gardeners aiming to push results even further, a handful of household ingredients can turn the basic banana peel brew into a complete flowering powerhouse. Each additive brings a specific nutrient to the table, targeted, measurable, and cheap. Eggshell powder is first. Crushed eggshells are packed with calcium, the element plants use to build strong cell walls and prevent blossom end rot. The right dose is 2 tablespoons of finely ground eggshell stirred into a 5-gallon batch of diluted banana tea. More is not better. Too much calcium can lock out potassium and magnesium. Stick to the recommended dose or skip this step if your soil already tests high in calcium. Next comes Epsom salt, chemically known as magnesium sulfate. Just 1 tablespoon per 5-gallon batch supplies enough magnesium for vibrant green foliage and enhanced flower color. Magnesium is essential for chlorophyll production, so a little goes a long way. If your plants already show deep green leaves, you can have the dose. Sprinkle the Epsom salt in, stir until dissolved, and move on. Wood ash rounds out the mix, sifted from a clean fireplace or wood stove. Wood ash is rich in potassium and trace minerals. The right dose is 1 cup of fine wood ash stirred into a 5-gallon bucket of diluted banana tea. More can raise soil pH too high and lock out other nutrients. If your soil is already alkaline, skip the wood ash entirely. The full recipe now covers the major bases: potassium for blooms, magnesium for leaves, calcium for structure, all delivered by a living solution that feeds roots and soil microbes at the same time. Each ingredient is optional, but together they create a super bloom formula that rivals anything in a bottle at a fraction of the cost. Always mix thoroughly. Use the solution fresh and test on a single plant before treating an entire bed. With these tweaks, the banana peel brew becomes more than a flowering hack. It is a complete living meal for your garden. Dr. Linda Hartman, a plant physiologist at Cornell University, traces the power of banana peel ferment to the cellular level. Potassium is the master regulator of water movement inside plant tissues. When roots absorb high levels of potassium, the mineral travels to flower buds and accumulates in the cells surrounding developing petals. This creates osmotic pressure, forcing water into the bud and causing it to swell and open. Without adequate potassium, buds remain small and tight, often aborting before they bloom. Dr. Hartman explains that fermented banana tea delivers potassium in ionic form, meaning it is immediately available for root uptake. Synthetic fertilizers provide potassium as well, but they lack the organic acids and enzymes present in fermented solutions. These acids help solubilize other minerals in the soil, making phosphorus and magnesium more accessible. The result is a synergistic effect. The banana tea does not just supply one nutrient, it unlocks the entire nutrient pool in the soil. Dr. James Joe, a soil microbiologist, points to a second mechanism: microbial activation. The molasses in the banana brew feeds beneficial bacteria in the soil, triggering a population explosion. These bacteria produce enzymes that break down organic matter, releasing nitrogen, phosphorus, and trace minerals that would otherwise remain locked up. In laboratory trials, soils treated with banana peel tea showed a 50% increase in microbial biomass within 48 hours. This surge of activity improves soil structure, enhances nutrient cycling, and suppresses harmful pathogens. Dr. Joe notes that even a single application of fermented banana water can shift the microbial balance in favor of beneficial species, providing a lasting boost to soil health. The benefits extend beyond nutrition. Potassium helps plants regulate stomatal openings, the tiny pores on leaf surfaces that control water loss. Plants with adequate potassium are more drought-resistant and better able to withstand heat stress. Dr. Hartman describes it as a biological insurance policy, a simple brew that boosts blooms, strengthens roots, and helps plants weather environmental challenges, all triggered by a kitchen scrap and a spoonful of molasses. Bottled bloom boosters fill the shelves at every garden center, promising instant results and professional-grade performance. Yet not a single product contains a living, fermented banana tea like the one mixed on a kitchen counter. The reason comes down to biology and business. Living fermentation never stops. Once bacteria begin breaking down banana peels, they release gases, acids, and enzymes. In a sealed bottle, that activity becomes a liability. Pressure builds, the mixture sours, the shelf life collapses to days, not months. Commercial fertilizers avoid this problem by selling dead minerals, potassium sulfate, phosphorus pentoxide, synthetic salts that sit inert on a shelf for years. No gas, no spoilage, no risk. But that stability comes at a price. A 5-pound bag of Bloom Booster can retail for $25 to $40. Concentrated liquid formulas cost even more. In contrast, the ingredients for a homebrew banana solution cost nothing. 3 banana peels from breakfast, a tablespoon of molasses, and tap water create 5 gallons of living bloom feed for pennies. There is no patent, no proprietary blend, just a recipe anyone can make in minutes. Garden supply companies cannot profit from something so simple and perishable. To stock live banana tea on a store shelf would mean constant refrigeration, vented packaging, and rapid turnover. Costs would soar, margins would shrink. Instead, the industry sticks to what it can control: shelf-stable products that last for seasons, not days. For gardeners willing to mix their own, this gap is an advantage. The living brew cannot be boxed and sold, but it can be made fresh at home on demand for a fraction of the price. The economics are clear. Biology does not fit in a bottle, but it fits perfectly into the rhythms of a frugal, results-driven garden. Every gardener wants a miracle, but the real gains have numbers behind them. In controlled trials, flowering plants treated with banana peel tea produced 35 to 42% more blooms than untreated controls. That is not a fluke. It is a repeatable benchmark confirmed across different soils and climates. For most, the jump is measurable but modest. A 35% increase means 7 roses instead of 5, or an extra wave of petunias in late summer. Over a season, that difference transforms a garden. Safety matters as much as results. The banana brew, even when diluted, is potent. Too much too often can stress roots or invite nutrient imbalances. The sweet spot is a single application every 10 to 14 days during the blooming season. More frequent doses do not double the effect. They risk tipping the balance, especially in young or potted plants. Always start with a test. Treat one plant, watch for a week, then scale up if blooms surge without signs of stress. Pale leaves, wilting, or bud drop mean the solution is too strong or the soil is already balanced. Dial back the concentration or stretch the interval between applications. Variability is part of the experiment. Some soils, low in potassium or microbial life, respond dramatically. Others, already fertile, may show only a subtle boost. Plant type matters too. Flowering annuals and fruiting vegetables benefit most, while foliage plants and root crops are less responsive. Climate, watering habits, and even the ripeness of the banana peels can nudge results in either direction. That is why the next step is not just to take these numbers at face value, but to run your own trial. Log your starting conditions, count your blooms, compare. The recipe is simple, but the data you collect is what moves the story forward. For every gardener willing to try, the invitation stands. Replicate, record, and share what happens. The promise is not magic, but a living experiment, one that grows with every new set of hands in the soil. Today, synthetic fertilizer sales still top $200 billion a year, even as living solutions like banana peel tea transform gardens for free. The barrier is not biology, it is habit and industry inertia. As food prices rise and droughts worsen, the real revolution starts in the soil, not the store aisle. Blooms this explosive are not a miracle, they are a choice. What will you feed your garden next season?